Good morning, everyone. So, how's everybody doing today? Hope your Saturday's going fantastic. Thank you for all the folks that are joining us online. I do apologize. I am having a few internet connectivity issues. I've been trying to navigate through them, but if our live stream is a little choppy, I do apologize. We should be able to get that. Oh, I'm still muted. The only people that can hear me are the people on Facebook. Whoops. Anyways, how's everybody doing this morning? I was wondering why it was so quiet in this room. Um, my internet connection's a little goofy this morning, so I do apologize. I'm really trying to navigate through it, but my stream setup is not near my monitor, so I can't really change it. It's so choppy. It should straighten itself out here, though. I do apologize. It was so clean for so long, and now it's acting goofy. But we're going to go ahead and do some quick introductions. I will start first. If you're watching on Facebook, if you want to introduce yourself in the comments, that's awesome. Um, and yeah, so my name's Cassandra Clevenger. I'm the Community Resource Coordinator at Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership, and today's presentation is presented by the Mahoning Valley Farmers Market Network and Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership. The Mahoning Valley Farmers Market Network, just to give some background to folks that may not know, started years and years ago when a few of us had some conversations about how we can build a stronger local food system and work together as farmers markets and the vendors that serve these farmers markets. We could work together collectively to build more sustainability and build greater capacity amongst us. So that's kind of really where the heart of all of these classes and such, that's where it comes from. And we're going to talk about social media calendars and advertising. I did a quick introduction of myself. I'll explain a little bit more about what Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership is when I get into the presentation, but I wanted to take a moment for everybody in the group to introduce themselves. If you're not joining us on Zoom, but you want to get in on the conversation and not just watch us live on Facebook, all of the links are there. Don't worry if you're jumping in the middle, not a problem. We welcome everybody. So I'm going to just go ahead and go down the participant list. Danielle, did you want to introduce yourself? And if you don't feel comfortable introducing yourself on microphone, you can also type something into the chat and I'll read it for you to introduce you. So Danielle, did you want to go first? Give us your name, location, and what you're here for today.
Hi, my name is Danielle. So I am dabbling in the idea of having an actual farm. I've done large scale gardening for a long time. And so I'm kind of looking to take that next level, which I know involves getting myself out there and actually having some sort of social media presence. And so I guess that's what I'm hoping to gather.
Very cool. Carla, did you want to go next?
Sure. So my name is Carla Dines. I live in Warren, and I help Tony Santone, who's been working at with farmers markets probably for 5 years now, I guess 4 or 5 years. I have a full-time job, and I just basically help him out when he needs help. And I'm trying to do social media for him, but I don't really have that much time, so I just need to work on that more. And that's basically why I'm here, just to try to get his farm and him more out there in the social media world.
Very cool. You should have some tools today to shorten that time that you're spending on social media. So you're spending every single second you have on really effective campaigns. Sarah, did you want to go next? Are you with us, Sarah?
Sure. I'm Sarah. I'm located in Warren, Ohio, and I'm currently working on a couple different gardening farming projects in the area. So I'm just here to learn how to be a better, well-rounded farmer and connect people to healthier food.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And lastly, Victor, did you want to introduce yourself? Victor Thomas is using some Wi-Fi. He's in Georgia, currently digital marketing student working on a new family farm. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. I'm kind of curious to hear what you have to say about digital marketing. Victor, maybe we'll have to schedule some coffee sometime and do some virtual coffee chat with some of the ideas that you have with digital marketing for your family farm. I'm curious to hear your insights. So again, I apologize for the live stream acting kind of goofy. By all means, if something if it gaps out and you miss something while I'm presenting, please definitely ask me to help out. I am going to stop my video while I'm giving the presentation just to kind of help with the bandwidth situation that I'm having right now. But yeah, we'll jump into the presentation. I do have a brief agenda set. We'll talk about the presentation for about a half an hour. We'll go over what social media calendars are and how they can be effective for your business and really what they're not. Because I think when we start talking about scheduling our social media posts, it gets really scary because part of social media is impromptu, it's spontaneous. You might have a thought that you want to share with the world, but this is really about nailing down important dates to really hone in on certain campaigns that need to happen throughout the year for your advertising. If you're trying to watch this live on Facebook and it's not working for you, I will be posting a recording of this. I'm currently recording this as well, so you'll be able to watch later. For the folks that are in the room, if there's a section that that you missed and you really want to go over again, you'll also get that live recording. Everything will be posted on the website that I shared where all of the materials are. There's a sign-in sheet on that website as well. If you would be so kind, if you're watching online or in our Zoom audience, to sign in on that sign-in sheet, that really helps us because part of this program is funded through the United States Department of Agriculture and their Farmers Market Promotion Program grant. So you signing in is a way for me to communicate that we are actually providing this education to local farmers. So whether you watch it now, you watch it later, you're watching it right now, but in the future, because it's recorded, go ahead and sign in for me on that worksheet because that really helps us kind of track who's been watching our videos. But the presentation's there and also the workbook that we'll be discussing a little bit later on for social media calendars for farmers and markets will also be listed on this website. And then we'll put the recording on here, and we've also created a nifty little Google Sheet planning tool for you to use if you choose to plan some of your posts with that. So without further ado, let me jump into the presentation. Make sure you guys can see it too on Facebook and you can hear everything. Yeah, we're good. Okay. It's fun to produce your events and be the facilitator. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Here we go. There's the right button. So I mentioned I work for Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership. We're a 501c3 nonprofit community development corporation. And at the core of our work are really two, we'll call them nodes, two main ideas. And they're around housing and food security and food access. And part of making sure everybody has access to healthy, safe foods is making sure that you have a really strong local food system where local folks are selling their local foods for a profit, really aggregating at that scale, and focusing even just beyond some of the normal agricultural products that are associated with Ohio. You know, we're really a corn and soybean state, but there's so many people out there that are growing food and they're selling it direct to consumer, and that's where Trumbull Neighborhood Partnerships really helping with that and helping people connect to markets, helping people connect to whether that's commercial markets or direct to consumer markets, and helping with social media skills and connecting people to other local resources in the Valley. We also, just a commercial for our Mahoning Valley Farmers Market Network. We meet every Thursday, the fourth Thursday of the month. If you would like to join us, shoot me a quick email, cassandra@tmpwarren.org, or, reach out to me, message me on Facebook. However you're watching this right now, just let me know you're interested and we'll get you on that invite list. So What is a social media calendar and why should you make one? That's the big question, right? Yes, I can. I can definitely add my email to the thread. I'll do that right now here for you guys real quick. There you go. And I'll do that for the Facebook folks too. So a social media calendar is your plan and workflow for how you will organize your larger social media campaigns throughout the year, focusing on social media posts that will require you to think ahead. It's not a way for you to plan every single social media post. Please, I mean, if you like to do that and you feel it's better for you to do that, you can do that. But I really, really, really recommend focusing on the things that you know you need to get out there. It doesn't emplace your impromptu posts that you might want to share, that you have an idea or you want to share a picture from the farm because you're specifically doing a certain task and you want to share that with people, the action shots that you're taking while you're out and about, whether you're using Facebook or Instagram or pictures of you at markets and stuff. It really doesn't replace those. But if you know that you have a community supported agriculture share program that you need to support, and you know when your deadlines are and when people need to have their applications in and what kind of pricing they're facing depending on if they're an early bird application or they come in later in the season, those kind of things are the things you want to plan out. If you know you're doing a lot of pumpkins around fall, or you're having a harvest festival, you're probably going to want to plan some type of campaign around making sure that you promote that event and promote that harvest or that piece of your harvest. It's way easier to make those posts and do those posts, particularly as somebody that's working seasonally on a day like today when it's snowing and you can't really get outside and you're making other plans like purchasing seeds and putting together your planting calendar. And this is really the time to start considering your social media calendar because you can start creating content, planning posts in advance. I'll show you a really nifty tool that we use internally to kind of schedule posts and stuff in advance. You can really kind of hone in some of those campaigns and automate them in your downtime when you have a couple hours, rather than trying to say you did have a pumpkin harvest and you're really trying to push for that in October. To try to do social media planning in July when you're in the middle of farmers market season, it's peak growing season, you're trying to get every single hour of daylight that you can out on the farm. If you have if farming is your second job and you're doing a 9 to 5 and then you're coming home and trying to do 5 to 9 on the farm, that leaves a tiny, tiny, tiny little window for social media posting. But if you have some ideas and you can put these things together in the off season, it kind of helps a little bit. Or even if you know what you need to post when those times come and you only have 30 minutes to dedicate to social media at the end of the day, you can maximize that 30 minutes. So that's really the idea behind what and why for social media calendars. So it comes down to planning. You plan out your posts. It saves you time and money. Time is money. So if you're saving one, you're definitely saving the other. And if you are a partner, like I mentioned, or Carla mentioned that she works with a farmer and helps with social media, it helps with that team communication. It puts a plan together that anybody working on social media can follow. So if you know what posts need to be scheduled, you could pass that job on to somebody else. It helps you delegate tasks. It also helps in evaluation. In our social media conversations, we talk about evaluation a lot, and that's such a scary word. It's a scary world in the nonprofit sector too. Like, how do we evaluate what we're doing? How do we know we're making the maximum impact? If you have campaigns scheduled around certain products or certain events, you can measure what happens, the after effects of those campaigns. Did your sales go up compared to last year in your at your harvest event, at your harvest festival? Did your farm stand sales go up because you pushed certain products at certain times? Did your sales go up at specific markets because you used hashtags for specific markets? And you can go back and track, like, did the advertising time and money I put into that actually pay off at those market spaces? These are the basic evaluation things that you can start putting together. It doesn't have to be some crazy plan that looks like it was put together by a consultant, but just being able to look back and see, well, those pictures really pushed people to my stand and these ones didn't. Why didn't these? Well, maybe they had too much text. They weren't necessarily clear in message. You can kind of go back and look at your social media content and see what's working. Humor works a lot depending on your audience. You can kind of look back and see who your demographics are. There's a lot of evaluation points that you can look at once you actually have a plan together. Whereas it's really hard to evaluate your social media presence if you're just shooting random posts out there, which you need random posts. Again, social media is impromptu. It's a conversation. It's real connection with your audience, but having a combination of both really creates a balanced approach to, being able to use social media not only to chat with people, but to really hone in your marketing. So, social media calendars and 5 easy steps. And this is kind of what the workbook takes you through. So we'll go into the workbook in more detail coming up here. But one, you want to audit. What are you doing currently? What do you want to be doing? What things are you doing good? What things do you want to do better? What key events, holidays, all of the above that you want to highlight? You create your calendar. For farmers, it's hard to say, I know I'm going to have sweet corn, say, on this day, so I need to plan this day. My recommendation for farmers is, probably within like a 2-week window, maybe a 3-week window, depending on how the weather's been. We all know how that is, of when things are going to come up. So you're not necessarily planning to say, I'm going to talk about sweet corn on this day in January. But I know I'm going to need to talk about sweet corn maybe at the end of July, beginning of August, depending on when your crop comes up. I know I'm going to need to start posting about tomatoes in July. You kind of have an idea of when the certain things come up, particularly as you grow more and more years, as you become more seasoned, I guess, as a farmer. But you can kind of create your calendar around those. Planning your posts. If you wanted to plan your posts and schedule them out for the whole year, I think you could do that with certain things, particularly holidays. But again, when we're talking about those harvest windows, I would probably try to set down like an hour, maybe once a month, to plan out your posts for that month. Or even maybe if you know what you're going to post and the about time period that it's going to happen, it's really easy to copy and paste stuff over, where 30 or 40 minutes of social media work turns into 3 to 5. So you can get those posts out really quick because you've made a plan in advance and you know about when it needs to happen. Plan for your graphics. Again, it's way easier to create social media graphics. There's really awesome intuitive programs out there. My favorite, and I'm not getting paid by them to say this, but my favorite's Canva, because it actually has a calendar function within, and it has ability to connect to your social media network, so you can schedule your social media graphic posts within Canva. But it allows you to make your graphics in advance, and you can add multiple people to your team so everybody has access to your graphics and they're all within a cloud. So if there's multiple people managing your social media, you can point them to the graphic that goes with the post and they can just get it up for you. And then step 5 is really putting your plan into action. You made the things, you have a plan for about when they're going out, you have a plan for who's going to post them. You do it, and then you evaluate. Did it work? So in the audit, we'll cover what are your customers' demographics, which social media sites will you use, and who will post, what are your social media goals, and what is your social media workflow. Again, I'll go into these more in detail when we can have our conversation back and forth. For planning your calendar, you'll consider your most important dates for your business or event. again, if we're planning events and we know we're going to have a harvest fair at our farm or harvest festival at farm, say the second week in October, and this is a long-standing event at your farm, or you know there's certain things that pop up through the year that you do every year, you can really kind of have things put together in advance. Again, I cover, it's hard to know specific dates for harvest, but you can narrow it down to a window. And then thinking about fun holidays, I have a reference in the workbook for fun holidays that you might be able to reference, but some quick Google searches can help you find like National Popcorn Day or National Hat Day. And you can think of marketing your products around holidays. So if you are a meat producer, the 4th of July, American Independence Day, is a really big weekend for barbecuing. So maybe, leading up a week or two going into Independence Day, you're going to really want to do some 4th of July themed graphics to help push your product around different holidays. We have that with Memorial Day, Labor Day, thinking of those 3-day weekend holidays where people are out grilling. Even if you're not doing meat, you're doing veggies and stuff, that might be the time to share your grilled veggie recipes and share pictures of people grilling your veggies, or do a social media campaign to show the best ways that people are preparing their veggies and what their favorite, say, Labor Day recipes are for their Labor Day cookouts. Going a little bit outside of the box to create conversations and being able to plan those in advance can be invaluable to help fill in gaps where you feel like you might not have posted on social media in a long period of time because you got too hectic or busy at the farm and you hadn't gotten a chance to do an impromptu post. You can have these other things planned out. So the plan for your posts, this goes into a little bit more detail. So a date, again, if you don't have a date, you have a month. Like, I know I need to post about these things in July. I know I need to post about these things in August, and these are the graphics I made for them. We'll still cut down time if you have to wait till those time periods to get the posts out. Because again, time, particularly in those summer months when you have a small growing season, is very, very important. Thinking about your content in advance is super helpful too, because you can sit down and just think a little bit and not feel pressured to get things out because you're exhausted. You can plan your content out depending on how you like to do that. You can actually, in making a social media calendar, if you're somebody that needs to put pen to paper to really get your thoughts down, this is a chance for you to just do that before you have to type it in. This is a chance for you to spell check it. This is a chance for your team to look it over for grammatical errors. This is a chance for you to really just plan out what your message is going to be. And then if you have a link you want to share, you can put it there. If you have a media location, this is why I recommend using Canva, because your whole team has access to it. You can type in the name of the graphic that goes with that post. Just a way, or you can even link it in a lot of times with Canva. Because if you're, say, passing this on to somebody else on the farm, or even if you have somebody in your family that's really interested in social media, like maybe a college student going to school for social media, you can communicate to them what you need posted, or say they're interning for you and doing some of your social media. You can work better in tandem to make sure that everything's tight. You're not posting things that don't make sense. And everything's been approved in advance, right, by your admin team. So you can avoid some of the things that I think some people are scared of when they give social media control to other people, where you're worried about the content they're posting. I know that's not true in every scenario, but that can happen sometimes. We've seen businesses accidentally post things that they end up taking back afterwards because it wasn't good to post that, or somebody really didn't have the guidance they needed in their social media department to stay on message. So, do you need a picture? Does it need a link? Not always, but pictures, links, interactive things always make your social media posts better. And if you're not using, I really recommend, if you're on a team, using a cloud. But even if you're doing these things by yourself and they're on your own computer, just even giving a quick reference to the name of the file that you're going to be using for that post, or the graphic you created specifically for that post, will save you time in the long run. Particularly if you've planned things in January that you're not posting till October, it'll help you match things up easier. And then putting your plan into action. There's a scheduling feature. It's moved completely if you're using Facebook into Facebook Business. Most social media apps do have a scheduling feature within their business suite. You might have to dig a little bit more. We'll go into that in more detail in our different series coming up throughout the year where we talk specifically about Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. But you want to use the scheduling feature to plan your posts in advance. And then evaluation, looking back on a quarterly, annually basis, just making adjustments. It's really helpful to see what connects with your audience and which posts connect with your audience, what kind of humor connects with your audience. Different age demographics will have different cultural references that they relate to. We talk about millennials and baby boomers and the iPhone generation or Zennials, or we talk about these different groups, and the main purpose of that is for advertising and marketing, because it's been shown time and time again that nostalgia really gets people buying, gets people interested in your content, invokes emotion. And what is nostalgic to say a baby boomer would not necessarily invoke the same nostalgia in a millennial. So that's why you do the audit, to kind of figure out who your demographics are, who your shoppers are, who's coming in and buying your items, and then you can plan social media graphics around all of those demographics. You might find that you have a wide range of folks that are shopping your products, and you want to create content for everybody, and that can be challenging, and that's why having a team is important as well, because if you have a very diverse team helping you, whether, again, your team, I say team in an official sense, like you have to pay everybody. Your team is your family, right? These are family farms. So reaching out to folks that you know to kind of help guide you through this. I mean, if they want to get paid, by all means, you should pay folks. But there's a lot of people in your circle that would help you decide whether or not something's relevant to them very quickly and would probably communicate that out. So don't be afraid to tap out to other folks in your network about your social media. So that is the presentation part. I want to take a second to do any Q&As. I also want to take a second to check in on the Facebook page to see if there's any questions I can answer. And then after that, we'll have a quick 5 to 10 minute break and we'll jump into the workbook. So yeah, I'm going to open up to the floor. Does anybody have any questions? Please do not hesitate if anybody has any questions at all. And if you're nervous, you can always put them in the chat. I'm so sorry, Victor. I wish you had a good connection too, and I wish I had a good connection. I wonder what's going on with the internet this morning. I usually don't have a problem on the weekends. That being said, this will be recorded. You will all have access to the recording. The recording is being done on my computer. It's not going to be the Facebook recording, so it'll be nice and clear and crystal and a good recording for you guys to watch later. Definitely. I look forward to that, Victor. Alrighty. Well, we will take a quick break, let everybody stretch, freshen up your coffee. If you haven't yet, check out the website. All of our live materials where we'll be going through the workbook next is located there. You'll be able to access the workbook because we're going to go through what that is step by step, and you'll have some time if you'd like to start filling in parts of that workbook and making your social media plan. and then we'll have a discussion if anybody has any questions or wants to talk specifically about their plan. Oh, I see a question. When planning a calendar, do you have a specific number of posts you try to do monthly, weekly, or daily? I recommend that you be posting at least weekly at the very, very minimum. You should have 4 posts a month on your page once a week. But that is the bare minimum. If you do too many posts that seem kind of spammy, where it's always like products, that's also not good. So you want a healthy mix of different types of posts, whether that's recipes, products, your website, photos from your farm, action shots, stories from your farm. Really, it's good to post at least once a day. You want to pop up in people's timelines every day. It's better to do that if with multiple posts a day, but I know for some folks that's really stretching it. So I don't want people to give up on social media if they can only really get that 1 post a day. When I use a social media calendar, though, and I plan my posts out in advance, I can get about a month's worth of posts where I get at least 1 in a day done in about an hour and a half. Whereas if I tried to do that daily, I'd be spending probably 15 or 20 minutes on each post, making a graphic, putting together a media link. So my recommendation is really to try to post every day. If you can only do it a couple times a week, that's okay, but what would be too many posts? That's a good question. I think things start getting a little spammy at 5 or so. Not every single person's going to see every single post you make, but as long as you're posting quality content, the sky's really the limit. If you get to a point where you're posting too much and you see a drop off in your engagement and your views, might be where you want to scale it back. But if you're also seeing that you're not getting the engagement and views you want, you might want to step up your posts and maybe even look at boosting some posts where you're not boosting every post, but you're kind of picking and choosing some specific posts to kind of get them out into the news feed. And you definitely want to pick a couple platforms and really stick to those. If you can only do one and you can only do one really, really good, do one really, really good. If you can do 2 really good, do 2 really good. I don't recommend taking on more than 3 if you're one person. That's where it gets really, really hard to space your time out. So pick the ones that you're the most comfortable with. I always recommend Facebook and Instagram for most folks. If you like to talk directly with people and dialogue with people, Twitter's also a good one to add. It's also good to research a little bit in advance to see where your customers are, because customers might be tagging you in social media posts that where you're not on the social media platform. So for example, one of our local businesses, I was kind of doing some research on them and I found them mentioned so many times on Twitter, and pictures of their products and pictures of all of their things that they sell, and so many awesome reviews and shout outs to them, but they don't have a Twitter page. So they're not able to see that content or share that content. So do some research, see where people are already talking about you, make sure you're in those spaces, but also think about the platforms that you're the most comfortable with and really work in those spaces. Facebook has really good evaluation tools. Instagram integrates with Facebook now, so that one's really easy to use too. And Twitter's one of those ones that you either take to it really awesome and it's fantastic for you, or it's kind of like, I hope I got everybody's questions. Did anybody else have any questions? Please feel free to add them to the chat or throw them in the comment section on Facebook. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. Again, fill your coffee, use the restroom, do whatever you need to do. Oh, no, wait, I got one. When you say pick a couple of platforms, what do you mean by platform? Awesome question. I use a lot of jargon sometimes, so please, anytime anything like that comes up, let me know. Facebook is a platform. Twitter is a platform. Instagram is a platform. I'm trying to think of other ones. TikTok is a platform. Pinterest is a platform. YouTube is a platform. So, in thinking about what social media, each basically social media sites is a platform for you to get on your soapbox and tell the world about your business. So, picking the platforms, the social media sites that you are most likely to connect to your audience and more comfortable using to start out with is what my recommendation would be. Three, and again, three for one person is where I've found my capabilities. I'm always kind of giving one the short end of the stick. I like two is the magical number for me, but depending on how much, and there's so many other things that go into social media, depending on to what degree you enjoy using social media or how much time you have to spend on social media, that number might be bigger for you, that number might be smaller for you. But I know I'm saying three, but two's always been the good one for me. Any other questions? Awesome. I think I caught everybody's questions. So we're going to take a quick break here, and I'll be back at 11:53 and we'll start going through the workbook. Hello, and we're back. So, as I mentioned previously, we're going to go ahead and go through the social media calendar, which kind of takes those 5 steps we talked about in the presentation and gives you some answers, or I should say, gives you some questions to answer so that you can build your social media calendar. So, before I get started, did anybody have any questions about the presentation? If anything came to mind during our break? I'm hoping I've taken care of some of our video issues too, so bear with me. Hopefully our live stream's a little bit cleaner now and doesn't spot out as much. But again, like I mentioned, I will be sharing the video for this one, so you guys will be able to see the video for this presentation, and I'll make sure I send a link to the website to everybody that signed up. Because I know there's some folks that signed up and didn't get a chance to join us this morning, so. But if everybody has the workbook in front of them, we can go ahead and get started. And if you don't, we have the screen shared. Let me know if it's too small and you're unable to see it on your stream. It should be pretty good. Let me see here. I'll check it on Facebook too to make sure you guys can see it good. You guys can't hear me because I forgot to mute my mic. My apologies. We'll jump right into it. For steps for creating a social media calendar, you want to audit. So what are the demographics? Are there passwords that you need to be sharing? Where we are now, you can give admin privileges to people through their own Facebook pages. So there really shouldn't be an exchange of passwords, but if you're somebody that needs to keep your passwords somewhere written down, handwritten, this is your chance to kind of do that and make sure that you have all the login credentials you need for your website. Do you need to grant other folks admin access to your social media site? These are the things that you kind of want to think about in advance. And your workflows. Who's posting what? When are things getting posted? Do you have a schedule? Do you not have a schedule? How do you want work to flow, essentially, workflow for social media? It could be as easy as, your workflow could be as simple as, I plan the posts. I sit down on February 2nd or the second Tuesday of every month and I plan my posts for the month. And then I look at evaluation the following month compared to my sales to see if those posts helped increase my sales or increased the number of people that reached out to me about my products or whatever that final goal is. You plan your calendar, events, marketing seasons, and other news and noteworthy dates. Planning your posts, and then your evaluation. Did it all work? So it's really 4 easy steps, but we add the 5th step because you make a plan, you got to actually implement the plan, right? Plans are only as good as the implementation of them. If we make a plan and it sits on the shelf and gets dusty, then it's not really worth making the plan. So we've got to make sure we implement the plan. So we'll start with the audit. And let's talk business demographics. Who are your customers? Now I'm curious to hear some responses from the audience. Have any of you guys dug into this a little bit further on your business platforms And were there any interesting trends that you want to note, maybe? And you can definitely type in the chat too. So this wasn't working during the live presentation, but I just wanted to take a second to kind of show you a little bit more information on how you can start looking at your demographics, particularly on the Facebook platform, which also allows you to pull some information about your Instagram page too. So we'll just go over a couple quick basic tools, but the big ones I wanted to show you are Audience, which allows you to pick a custom time frame, which I have right now comparing January 1st, 2020. You can click compare. So I'm comparing 2020 to 2019. So you can see your contents, what your big posts were. There's so many. What were your most popular posts from that time period? Can also dig into your audience a little bit. This is just looking at 2019 to 2021. It's looking at the whole entire time period and the demographics, the people that have looked at it. So we have a really wide age range. We're hitting all age categories. We definitely could be targeting more men through our advertising, though, making more ads that are relevant to men. Lots and lots of women are looking at our social media page, but not as many men. The fun thing at looking at 2 years is when you look at the trends, I can kind of look at my reach, and my reach from 2019 to 2020 was up 14.2%. That's a pretty good increase, but my impressions were actually down. And our amount spent was down a little bit this year as well too. But just some things to kind of show you how you can kind of tap into different types of demographics and such. So I just wanted to make sure I showed that because it was not loading properly when we were having our official webinar. When it comes to your audit, but you want to also look at your social media team members and roles, the graphics and media sharing locations, and your social media platforms. Again, which sites are you posting content to? Just taking a second to plan out that I know I'm going to post to Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Lets you really focus and hone in on your goals for each of those platforms, what you want to achieve, what kind of graphics you want to put up there, what you want to advertise, all of the above. So I really help in the workbook outline what the goals are. What are your sales and marketing goals for the year? Do you want to increase sales by 6% in the first quarter? What kind of advertising budget do you have to do that? If your budget's zero, that's okay. You can still make those goals and work towards those goals. But this gives you a chance to really plan this out, because if you know you have about $100 to invest in social media advertising for the year, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of advertising, right? It costs 5 or 6 times that to run a billboard ad for the month, where I can get a pretty good local reach with $100 on my social media. Not a ton, but you can start getting out there a little bit more and build organic traffic off of that paid reach. You can kind of outline those things a little bit here. Maybe your goal isn't sales. Maybe your goal is to increase your web traffic to your online market. That's where you want to spell this out, or increase sales in your online market. Even just increasing the reach. These are a chance. How many people see your posts? How many click on the pictures from your posts? Your engagement? You can put those goals here. And I break it out quarterly because it's really nice to think about things in those smaller month chunks. So I know, like, January through March, this is my goal. I want to promote my CSA. I want to share my winter crops that I'm going to be harvesting in that time period. I want to start promoting maybe some of the spring markets I'll be at. Whereas in your second quarter, which is April, May, wait, January, February, March, April, May, June, you're going to want to maybe really start pushing your summer markets and making sure people know about the events that you have coming up in June, where a lot of markets start their kickoffs, and even some of them in May. So just thinking about it in quarters, I think is really helpful. So your workflow, who's on your team and what do they do? Is Are there people out in the field working every day and their goal is to take some pictures of what they're doing and send that over to the social media person? Do you have a young person in your family that loves to do graphic design and puts together your social media posts in Canva for you? Thinking about who's really on your team, who's in your family that can help with this, who's already maybe working for you that can help take some of this off, and dividing tasks into smaller tasks so they're easy to bite, so they're easy to take to the next level, I guess. When you have like these overarching goals, like I want to increase my sales, but you haven't broke that down into smaller bits. I plan on making these social media posts. I plan on putting this much into advertising. I plan on adding these things to my website. I plan on all of these different things. You can kind of make those into smaller chunks and you can delegate those tasks to other folks. Or you can make it easier for yourself, because if you're a one-person show and you're doing it all, if you have things to check off that are small little bite-sized tasks, you can maximize your time instead of wasting some of that time feeling overwhelmed. And when you feel overwhelmed, I feel it really leads to procrastination. So if you have those smaller chunks, it really makes it easier. Some of the job descriptions you might have is, your planner. That's the main person that knows what their direction is for their farm, and usually the person in charge of the farm, and that person might not actually create the plan, but they help the different folks, the admins and the photographers and the post creators, make that plan. So they know what they need to do, what the main goals are, and the other folks help those goals happen. The admin manages the pages to make sure the content meets the quality standards, make sure that people that might be posting to your page are posting profanity or obscenity. They're really kind of watching things, answering questions from customers. Your photographer and graphic designer, people love to take pictures. I feel like a lot of the social media platforms that the younger generations are gravitating to are very media based. So those folks are becoming wonderful content creators that could be part of your family farm and your family farm social media advertising, and help you reach younger audiences too. Your post creator, you might have somebody that really just loves social media, is on it all the time, knows how to craft a post that's really engaging, and you can break these things into different jobs, or you can take on multiple jobs in some of these things. It can be as complicated as you want it to be. It can be as simple as you want it to be. It's really, at the end of the day, a plan for you. So planning your calendar, I have some resources and holidays, but that's really taking those goals and sitting down and planning some social media posts around those goals. So I know I want to say I'm a farmer and I'm going to participate in the Warren Farmers Market. And one of my goals is to increase my quarter two sales at farmers markets. I can plan social media posts around that because I know I'm going to be at the Warren Farmers Market on Tuesdays from 3 to 6 p.m. I can make those posts in advance and schedule them so everything's automated and ready to go. But I put a couple fun holidays in here. Some of them really aren't relevant. Some of them are relevant. I know like Star Wars Day is always a lot of fun. Don't be afraid to talk about the holidays that aren't necessarily food related. Those are just more ideas for content that make your page look less spammy, because you're really interacting with folks and interacting with them in unique ways. Some more planning your calendar. I left a blank space for other dates to consider because this is where you can fill in some of the dates that you need to consider, like your market start dates, your CSA start dates, when certain things are going to come to harvest, all of those things. And I also wanted to put a little reminder in there that August 1st through the 7th is National Farmers Market Week. And the National Farmers Market Coalition has a bunch of posts on their website that they can help you generate support for farmers markets in general and local foods in general, and everything's put together for you in press packages. So that's always a super helpful resource too. They includes graphics and everything you need to really help push farmers markets and how important farmers markets are. So I even included a printable calendar. That's what a lot of this workbook is, so not to be intimidated, but there's a calendar that you can print out for 2021, so you can start planning some of these things. I'm going to scroll through these fast, so trying not to give you guys whiplash, but bear with me. And lastly, planning your posts. Post info, the date or campaign, graphics and media are the links, the social media platforms where you want that post posted, what sites do you want to put that message out to, and do you plan on boosting that post? If you do, what's the budget? This is really helpful, again, when you're bringing other folks in, or just you have $100 to spend and that's all you have to spend, so where can I maximize my efforts? If you're planning that out in advance, it kind of helps you get to your goals better. So I've also included some questions to investigate if you want to evaluate your social media plans, which again, I highly recommend. Are you collecting your sales data quarterly? If you're planning your social media out quarterly and you're collecting sales data quarterly, you can kind of compare year to year. So I increased my social media footprint. I saw an increase in sales. I must have did something right on social media. I should do that again and see if I can increase my sales again. I highly suggest collecting weather data if you're selling direct to consumer and you have markets, because a 95-degree day in July is going to look different in sales than a 75-degree day in July or an 80-degree day in July, particularly if you're doing an afternoon market. If it rains throughout the whole entire month, as we've seen in the past with my market, it's very sad, but it has happened where like every Tuesday we got hit with rain. You're not going to want to compare, say, September, where all of the weeks were sunny and 75, to a September where everything's in the 60s, dreary and rainy. You're going to see a decrease in sales, and that might not necessarily reflect your social media platforms and what you did on social media. So you'll be able to tease out, essentially, that's what we call when we look at data in different ways and we look at different variables, you can kind of set some of those bad weather days aside as outliers. They're not what you normally see, right? There's something that's like way up here out of your range. You guys can't see what I'm doing, but I'm pointing upward. But you have your data outliers, and weather can help you isolate those. You can look at your monthly social media impressions and compare them from month to month, working to grow and increase that reach. You can collect your monthly social media click-throughs, and you can do that too through Facebook Pixel. So if you are running a Facebook ad and you have Facebook Pixel set up on your website, you can measure not only if somebody clicked the link, but if they actually clicked on your products after clicking on a link, which that's really what we want people to do. We don't necessarily just want to drive them to where sales are happening. We want them to make the sale. And if that's happening online, Facebook Pixel can help with that. And then thinking about all of the other reasons your sales might have increased, you want to kind of think about those too. Did you have more product this year compared to last year? Did you, trying to think of what other things might make your sales increase. The weather is a big one. Did you do more markets this year compared to last year, and is that why your sales increased? Did you figure out a way to lower your or increase your margins, lower your costs? Did you find a new seed supplier that helped you, or a new plant supplier that helped you maximize your profits? Thinking about all of those. And then looking back to those goals that we made in the first bit of the workshop, and thinking about the audit, did you meet those goals? What are your new goals? Thinking about some of those things. So again, questions, I have all of my information in here if anybody has questions, and we have about 10 minutes left in the presentation. So I just wanted to open it up to the crowd to see if anybody has any questions. We covered a lot of material in an hour and a half, so please, if you have any questions at all. Okay, well, if nobody has any questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up a little bit early today. Again, I will have this edited and recorded up by the end of next week for people to view in the future if they would like. The live video is available in the in the Mahoning Valley Farmers Market Network website, or not the website. Sorry, I keep saying things wrong. The Warren, Let me pause for a second. The Mahoning Valley Farmers Market Group Facebook page. There's a live video there, but it's probably going to be a little blotchy again. I apologize for the internet connectivity settings. I usually don't have a problem on Saturday mornings, so I'm definitely going to be reaching out to my cable company. But thank you all so very much for joining me today, and I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you individually about your food-based business. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.